Today I'd like to talk to you about the polarization in our world and the solution to that, a new language we should learn, the EEE language. We live in a divided world. There's a tsunami of polarization. We have discussions and debates, and the debates are win-lose. I am right, you are wrong. It's all about my views, my perceptions are elevated to the truth, and even the intolerance is even that far going that we cannot imagine that something else could be thought, that the other thoughts are inconceivable. We see it also on social media, where the positional thinking and discussion, like Twitter, is going wild. And this has emerged, obviously, to a large extent with the Trumpist era in the United States, but even before that, even here in Belgium, where we have decades and decades of experience with discussions between the Flemish and the Francophones, but not understanding each other. And it's gotten worse with all the challenges that touch us as a society, climate, energy, and recently COVID-19, how to deal with Corona. Discussions where everyone is starting from their own right, their own position, and there's no listening towards each other. And we see it also at universities. There's many polarizations and debates in the academic world. And you want to get an example? There's plenty of examples. And I don't want to give an example because the moment I give an example, the polarization will start. And I'm here sitting in a monologue. And we need a dialogue to get over this polarization. So we are trapped into a divided world and we need to get out. And the solution to get out is precisely to try to engage in a true dialogue. And to do that, you need to learn and to speak a new language. It's a EEE language, the Esperanto of emotions and empathy. I once wrote that we should start with this in kindergarten. We don't. We've never learned that language. And so I think there's no better place than university to start learning and experimenting with this new language. So university, I'm sitting here in my office at the University of Leuven. This is a university that was established in 1425. We're almost 6 centuries around. And so in the Middle Ages, universities were a community of scholars and students, a learning community. And in the early ages, the first universities in Europe, like Bologna and Paris, were about the 12th century even, there were no buildings. University was, without physical space, a connection, a bonding of scholars and students, a community. And I think if Corona has taught us one thing, it is that we don't need buildings and physical spaces, that we can go beyond the boundaries of buildings and that we can connect with each other in the digital world. And that's where I think we should start the new true dialogue. Dialogue, what is it? Because I say the polarization and the divide comes from discussion, debate, win-lose, positional thinking. Dialogue is something totally different. Dia, logos in Greek, through the words. And in ancient Greek, logos may even refer to gathering together, relationships. So it's a dialogue is a stream, is a flow of meaning, a flow of words between and through and among us. And it is like where through such connection in relationships between people, through such connections, all the differences of opinions kind of evaporate and emerge into a new meaning. Dialogue is not about getting my opinion as the truth. Dialogue is more about suspending my opinion and listening to other opinions and views, and then together find with creativity a new way, a new understanding, a new connection. So there's authors saying that dialogue is like the outer counterpart of the inner non-judgmental awareness and mindfulness. It is the connection and the communication you make by the miracle of wonder, by the questioning, by opening up yourself and not sticking to your own positions and opinions. And you may say, well, you know, this all sounds nice, but it's very abstract. So let's make it more concrete. How can we engage in a true dialogue? That is by speaking a new language, the triple E language of the Esperanto of emotions and empathy. So how do we do that? What does that exactly mean, emotions and empathy and speaking that new language? It's through active listening. So let's first think about what empathy is. There's a lot of misunderstanding on empathy. Some confuse it with sympathy. It's not sympathy. It's not agreeing. My mentor and professor and friend, Professor Mnuchin, he many years ago told me, Alain, I can demonstrate empathy as a Jewish law professor at Harvard Law School to a Nazi SS officer. So that's certainly not sympathy or agreeing. It's demonstrating that you can see the world through the eyes of that other person, that you can understand their perspective on things. And so when we try to connect, we need to try to listen actively. And you may say, well, I'm doing that. Well, you're not, because, and I certainly can witness that I often don't do it. And maybe even now, at this very moment, you're watching this clip, you are not really listening to me. You are in your head thinking lots of things, and you may be referring to experience you had, and you may be maybe even daydreaming, or you may try to find arguments against what I'm saying, or you may say, that's not like me, or, oh, I know all of this. Whatever you're thinking, you're not listening to me. Active listening is about shutting up your inner voice. It's about getting out of this judgmental, biased perception of the world. It's about opening up and really be with the other side. You know, we all judge all the time, and judging obviously has a benefit as a shortcut in a dangerous society to protect yourself. Society today is a bit less dangerous, so we should judge less, but we are still stuck with the judging. And so when we see another person, when we engage and talk with another person, we immediately start judging from our own perceptions and our biases. Everyone who read Kahneman and Tversky knows about the biases and the tunnel vision we have. And so we should try, with active listening, get rid of these judgments. The other person is a diamond with 1,000 facets. How can we judge that person if we only see 3 facets? And then you can ask, but okay, how do I do that? I try to shut up my inner voice, I try to be with the other side, and I try to really listen and demonstrate my empathy. We do that by using the empathy loop. IPA is not only a beer, it's also a very interesting skill to try to listen to someone. Inquire with open questions. Paraphrase what you hear in your own words. Check in so that I can adapt and fine-tune and correct you if you didn't get it right. And then acknowledge the feelings you see and hear and feel. And what will happen if you do that in a genuine way is that that other person will feel understood, acknowledged. They will become more positive. He will share information and views and perceptions. And at some point they will open up, and then you will be able to give your views. So in that sense, the active listening is a tool to genuinely connect with someone else. And I use often the frozen land metaphor to explain this better. Imagine you see a farmer standing on a frozen land with a big bag of seeds, and he's throwing all his seeds on that land. You will probably say, this is a silly man. Why? And then the silly man tells you, no, I'm throwing my seeds, flowers and vegetables will grow. And you think, that's silly, the ground is frozen. Well, you know, that's exactly what you and I do when we listen. When we try to persuade someone with our arguments, we are like the silly farmer throwing seeds on a frozen land. So active listening and empathy is about working on the land, opening it up, defrosting it, fertilizing it, so that the other side feels acknowledged, and then you can bring in your arguments, your seeds, and see if you can get somewhere with a dialogue. It's also about the emotions in the active listening. I like we are 95% emotions, and we are very emotional beings. And I like the saying of Douglas Null, who says, let's listen each other into existence, which means I see it, you are frustrated, you are disappointed, you are angry, you are hurt, you are, you're irritated, you're frustrated, you're happy. When I can do this in a genuine way, I connect with you and with your soul I listen yourself into existence. And when we do that together for each other, that's when we speak the new language, and that's where we engage in a dialogue where something new will emerge. It's like when we start a conversation and I have a glass of water and you have a glass of water. By doing this, we kind of end up with a new glass of liquid where there's some of mine and some of your water, but something totally new has emerged. And then, universities should stimulate that kind of dialogue, learn us to speak that language of true understanding and empathy and listening to each other. And universities can stimulate that by creating safe spaces. Safe spaces, it's a delicate topic. It has many meanings. There is the safe space where people who have been historically discriminated against can be together in a safe way, where there's no judgments and where they can support each other. I think universities should create environments like that, where you can feel the empathy and work on the emotional security that you deserve and the support you deserve for the wounds and the hurt that has been committed in so many, many, many instances. And then the university should also create a safe space where the real true dialogue can emerge. It's a safe space where differences of opinions are flowing and floating around, where there's differences of beliefs and where there's a safety where that protects you to be able to engage in free speech. Safety, you will be tolerated, there will be respect and empathy for your views and opinions. And so at the same time, it's a non-safe space, because you can engage in a non-safe dialogue. You can talk about very delicate and intense things, and you're sure that there's psychological safety for you to speak up, and there will be respect for your views and tolerance. And if you have this dialogue of empathy for each other, then what will happen is that this connection, this dialogos, this thinking through relationships will emerge, and there will be a connection in free speech. So for me, the protection of free speech is not so much as it was defended in the Enlightenment, the right for you to insult me, the right for you to offend me. I think we kind of took it to the next level, where the free speech is about, I can say what my views are, what my opinions are, because I'm in a safe place where you will give me the empathy and I will give you the empathy, and we will respectfully listen to each other, talk with each other, not to each other. We will dialogue and a new meaning will emerge. So my hope and my call for all academics and students in universities around the globe is that we engage in speaking this new EEE language, the Esperanto of emotions and empathy, that we stop discussing, that we stop debating, that we stop positional argumentations, that we stop the intolerance, that we start really connecting and listening to each other with empathy. That is what universities are about. Creating new understanding in research, creating new understanding in relationships, in connections with people. And that is what we as academics can contribute to society, a society that is in desperate need for guidance to escape out of the polarization that is softly killing all of us. So let's speak up together, EEE. Thank you.